before. It's one of my favorites. I think it does a really nice job here of basically dividing up the 4-year cycle into accumulation, growth, bubble, and crash phases. So last year, this chart only goes to 2024, and that was the growth phase. And of course, 2025 is historically speaking, that should be the bubble phase where we see basically exponential growth. And of course, we're halfway in through the year. And, depending on your view, if you think the top is coming later this year, early next year, whatever, I would say that the consensus view is that this is a bubble year. The only question is, when will the top of that bubble be, right? Of course, at the start of the year, with prices down, everyone thought that it was over, but now I think going into the summer, it's clear that it's not over quite yet, and we could see another massive leg higher. And the only question then is, is it going to be Q3, is it going to be Q4, or is it going to be Q1 next year, right? Like, that's of course, a very important thing. This is where the total crypto market cap comes in super handy. Of course, this ties into the psychological aspect. I'm sure if you follow like a lot of these crypto influencers or whatever on X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of them have been calling for the top to be in late 2025 or early 2026. This seems to be the consensus view, which in my view is absolutely perfect. I actually hope that this video doesn't get too many views for the simple fact that if most people are expecting the market to top in later this year or early next year, then that's going to drive that much more FOMO over the summer, where everyone's going to be piling in, kind of similarly to how they did in early 2024. Everyone's going to be piling in thinking, oh my God, like I'm going to go all in, put everything I have, take loans, whatever. I'm going to buy as much as I possibly can because the cycle top is coming later this year and early next year, and this time I'm not going to mess it up. But of course, that act of buying in so aggressively over the summer is actually going to cause a cycle top, if that makes any sense. And what I personally think is going to happen is we're going to see something like this, where you can make the case that we have a massive kind of double bottom pattern that's been forming over the last decade. And I actually do think that we're going to see an enormous break. Like once we see a break above this resistance trend line, then the total crypto market cap for it to go to 7 trillion or 10 trillion, I think is a no-brainer in my view. So again, it's going to be a very, very, very big final blow off top because again, everyone's going to be piling in thinking the highs are still coming, and then they'll probably mark the top. But of course, this is just the crypto side. This is just the crypto cycle, crypto psychology side of it. We also have to look at the liquidity side of it. It's basically because the liquidity cycle is driven by debt refinancing. So basically every few years, let's say every 4 or 5 years, companies basically need to start paying down their debts, and this typically results in a contraction of economic activity and basically drains liquidity, because instead of using that money for something else, they're using that money to pay down debt, which basically destroys the money supply and kind of causes you could say a short-term kind of deflation. Liquidity drain, this refinancing cycle is starting in 2026, 2027. Then of course you're going to see a little bit of that effect being pulled forward with the liquidity drain starting again, like later this year, probably, potentially at the earliest, who knows, maybe it'll come a little bit later. But Michael has been pretty consistent now that he thinks that global liquidity is going to start falling towards the end of this year, precisely because of this debt refinancing cycle.